Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes weekly webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm really excited to show you the Perfect Verses Christmas collection from our friends at Hunkydory. So inside here, you have 192 verses. There are 24 different verses, and you have 4 each in gold and silver foiling. So just have a look at that beautiful shine on there. And I really love that you're getting a variety of different font sizes and styles, and also that you've got a nice variety of themes ranging from traditional and heartfelt to cute and so much more. And of course, with 192 verses, you've got an outstanding value for your money, something that we love about Hunkydory. Then to go along, we have 2 collections of brushed diamond papers from hot off the press in red and in gold. Each pack has 4 8.5 by 11 sheets of double-sided smooth finish paper. It is absolutely gorgeous and has a really nice subtle shine to it. Today I'm also going to be using the papers from the Christmas Floral Plaids collection, and this is an absolutely gorgeous collection of patterned cardstock papers and just happened to go so beautifully with our brushed diamond papers and of course with the Perfect Verses. So as you can see, we have a lot of absolutely gorgeous supplies to play with today and to make our Christmas card making just a little easier and perhaps a little merrier too. I'm really glad that you're here today, and I'm so excited to explore the possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start with this festive card, which uses one of the Perfect Verses as a focal, combined with square and scalloped cutting dies. And I think the dies and the Perfect Verses are just one of the best combinations because you're able to get perfectly cut sentiments quickly and easily, and then you can layer them up to be as large as you want on the front of your card, or of course on the inside too. So here I'm using the 3-inch square scalloped die for the verse, and then I've layered it onto the coordinating straight edge square, and that's been die cut from the brushed diamond paper in that gorgeous red. Now this set, and I know I say this a lot, but this set is one of my all-time go-to crafting tools. You have a variety of nesting square sizes, both straight-edged and scalloped, and they just make it so easy to create a classic layered card focal. Now there are also rectangle and oval and circle scallop nesting dies, and I love those too. And we'll take a look at how to use the rectangles as well later in this webisode. So I first covered the front of my card with an absolutely gorgeous green plaid paper, and you can see this here. And after I covered the front of my card, I inked the edges with the Delicata gold ink pad. And that just creates a really nice kind of metallic, soft metallic shadow effect around the outside edges there. Now this center portion here is this really beautiful floral and kind of a faux texture design pattern paper. And I've trimmed this down slightly smaller than the front of my card, and then I've matted it onto this kind of a salmon pink color of plain cardstock. So I'm also using the Christmas Florals Plaids cardstock set, and this is in 12 by 12. And you can see the palette that's included in this set. And so I'm using the kind of salmon pink in here. And that just ties everything together really beautifully. And I love how the red of that diamond, brushed diamond paper creates such a nice contrast on there. And each of these layers is inked with gold so that it's got a really nice coordinated effect here. Now, when I glued this portion together, I made sure not to put glue up here in the corner so that I could fold over that double-sided pattern paper so that it creates a really nice overlap here on my matted verse. Now, down at the corner, we've got an arrangement of poinsettias. These are from the Christmas Florals Chipboard set, and I've colored them with tri-blend markers. So let's have a look here. First of all, the chipboard set. Now these are really fun. They're all designed to coordinate with the pattern papers and the cardstock, of course. And they create a really nice dimensional effect, especially as an accent like this on the card. These are a really nice sturdy chipboard, but they are just simply popped right out of that backing sheet You can use them as is. They're a nice neutral color, but you can also color them with a variety of different mediums. And one of my favorites is to color them with the tri-blend markers. So the tri-blend markers, these come from Spectrum Noir, Crafter's Companion. And what you'll have are basically 3 pens in one pen, 3 shades of a color in one marker, which is great if you like to get a good value for your money. It's also nice if you have a small crafting space like I do. So here you can see this is the dull green and this is the pale pink. And if I rotate this around, you can see you've got a light, a mid, and a dark of that same color. So same thing on the green here too, which means that when you're layering your colors, you can start with the light and build up to the mid and then do some enhancing with the dark on here if you want to. Or you can simply use each of those colors as is. And that's what I did here. So I'm going to just use this leftover portion of my chipboard piece and just show you here. I'm going to use the mid of my marker and just simply color in the berries on this botanical piece here. Now I've kept my chipboard piece in the backing. That just gives me something to kind of hold on to as I'm coloring this. You can of course pop these out before you do your coloring if you want to, but you can see how that just makes those berries stand right out. And then again, I'll go with the mid color on the leaves and just simply color in with the marker. Super simple to do. Now these markers do have a nice fine tip, which means that if you're getting into some of these smaller areas, it's a lot easier than with a brush tip marker. So you have a little bit more control in there. Then if I want to, of course, since I'm starting with the mid color, I can come back and add some more detail even on these leaves with the darker color. So let's try that. This is the darker, and then I can enhance some of the detail on here. It's a super simple way to add some really nice blending and definition in with your chipboard pieces. Now on the other side of the chipboard, if you're wondering if it's leaking through, it is not. And these are a really nice, bright, vibrant color. Comes in lots of different colors with those tri-blend markers, so you have a lot of different options. Now I think you get the gist of the coloring in, but let me just show you if you want to remove that. That's as easy as it gets. And then you can simply glue it on to your project as you wish. So here I've got the 3 poinsettias, of course, colored with that pink color. And then I've got those stacked up and layered on some foam tape. And I've colored the leaves here, or the pine foliage here. This little portion down here is the other part of my colored in demo piece here. I just needed a little bit of foliage to tuck underneath that poinsettia, so that's what I use. So yes, you can definitely cut apart the chipboard pieces just with a pair of scissors, really easy to do. Then here I've added some self-adhesive diamond sparkles gemstones. These are from Hunkydory and I really like these. I don't have very many of the gold left. I've got a few of the silver left here, but these are great, nice shiny accents. And of course self-adhesive, so you can just peel them off the liner sheet and pop them down on there. And I've tied a bow in a piece of jute twine. Jute twine is one of my favorite materials to use to add a little touch of softness onto a card. So I've just tied that in a bow and glued it right on top there. Then for my card inside, let's take a look. I've got some more of that gorgeous patterned paper, which I've just lined the inside with, and another square die cut sentiment. I love a tag in a bag project, especially for Christmas. It is such a fun presentation and it works beautifully for sentiments like our verses, and the pocket can also be used to hold a gift card or something similar. Okay, so let's first look at our tag in a bag die and how to assemble the pocket, and then we can look at our verses and how they've been used with this shadow matting technique. Okay, so let's have a look here. Now this is the die that we're working with, and as you can see, you've got 2 pieces included in the storage folder. So you have your tag, which is a very useful die to have on hand anyway. I use this by itself for a lot of projects. And then you've also got your bag or your pocket here too. And when I flip this over, you can see you've got some written instructions and a project idea for a way to use the tag in a bag on a card. And then you've also got your tag in a bag just as a standalone project idea over here. Now, when you run your die cut, your cutting die and your cardstock through your die cutting machine, this is what you'll get with your bag. So you'll notice that you've got your outline shape here with this really nice decal edge going along the top. You'll also have your score lines indicated there as well. So all you need to do is flip this over and then fold in going along those score lines. I do recommend having a bone folder on hand. That's going to give you a nice crisp fold on there. So you'll fold in the sides, fold up the bottom, and then secure it all together. Now when you're gluing this together, I really recommend using the extra sticky tape. It does go the extra mile in holding together things like any of our folded cards or something like this that's going to be handled and used a lot. So that's all you need to do with your bag, and then you can decorate from there. Okay, so I'm going to bring back in my completed project here, and we can look at the bag itself. So I've die cut this from the pattern paper, and when I'm positioning my die, I'm positioning it to make sure I've got this really pretty border down at the bottom. Now, because your pocket will show both sides of your pattern paper or cardstock, and you can see the difference on here. That's just something you want to keep in mind when you're working with double-sided pattern papers. And of course, this coordinates beautifully to have that plaid showing on the inside. And I'll give you a quick look at the back here so you can see how beautifully that all coordinates. And then my tag is also coordinating, of course, and I've die cut the tag shape from one of the cutouts from the paper pack. And actually, the cutouts are supposed to go this way, but when I positioned my die down, I realized I liked having this floral motif up here at the corner. So then I've positioned this like so, secured it down with some low tack tape, and ran it through my die cutting machine, which gives me my completed tag shape. And then again, this is the other side, also coordinating. Now in the center here, I've got just the perfect amount of space for my die cut verses. And to get this beautifully cut piece, I've used my 8 labels for your greetings cutting die set. And this is one that's really going to come in handy, especially with these tag shapes, because you can see how everything coordinates really nicely and how it can be used to fit perfectly on that tag. Now, unlike our nesting square dies, we don't really have the same kind of nesting abilities as we do with those. So instead, what I've done here is used a sort of shadow effect. So let me bring in 2 pieces here. And I'm also going to bring in some of this red brushed diamond paper, which I think is just so beautiful. And I'll show you here, I've used my die to die cut 2 of the same shape. And then all I need to do is glue one on top of the other, slightly offset. So I think you can see there's a little bit of a shadow effect down here at the bottom. I could also position it so the shadow effect is up at the top if I want it to go that way too. Here I've got it showing around down at the bottom and a little bit along the edge here. But I just want to show you how easily these dies work. Simply position it down, it's the perfect frame, secure it down with your low tack tape, run it through your die cutting machine, and you've got a beautiful focal ready to go. Now at the top of both my tag and the bag with my sentiment here, I've got some more of those chipboard pieces also colored in with the dull green, and also using some of those beautiful Hunkydory diamond sparkles as my accents on here too. Super simple to do and a really great way to present a very fun Christmas wish to the recipient. I mentioned how much I love using the square dies with these verses, and the rectangle die collection is also a perfect fit, especially with some of the longer verses like this one here. So here I've used a 3.5-inch straight edged rectangle for the verse and then layered it onto a gold brushed diamond scalloped mat. So you can see these two nested together. This is what I've used for my focal. So the package looks like this, or it does when you've had it for a long time. It's the 12 rectangle and scallop dies, and it's the same format as the squares, the circles, and the ovals, where you're getting a variety of sizes from small to large, and you've got the straight edge or the smooth edge and then the scalloped as well. And these are just invaluable for just about any card theme. So this is what I've used for the front of my card. And I've popped this up on some foam tape before gluing it down to this center area here. And let me show you, this sort of focal area is actually one of the cutouts from the paper pack. So it's this one here, and I've just trimmed that out, inked around the edges with the Delicata ink pad, and then matted it onto this gorgeous kind of pine green from the solid cardstock. I've wrapped the corner down here with some of the jute twine, and this is also one of my favorite supplies to have on hand. It does add a really nice soft touch to any of your projects. And so I've wrapped that around there twice, added the bow on the top, and then glued this down to the front of my card. Now the front of my card is also interesting because I've got this beautiful scalloped edge going around here. This is also one of the scalloped dies. So what I've done here, and let me bring in the largest of those scalloped dies. So you can see here in combination with my 5 by 6.5 inch card, it just barely does not fit. So what I like to do here is cover the front of my card with my pattern paper. And in this case, I'm using this design, which has a beautiful floral on one side and this really cool faux texture on the other. I wanted this side to go along the fold of my card. So I'm just turning it around like so. Putting adhesive, and I use a glue stick on the front of my card, and then gluing this to the front, turn it over and trim around the outside edge, and you're ready to go. So once I have my card front covered with my pattern paper, then I take the largest of these scalloped dies, and this is the fold of my card, and I'm going to position this right on top, making sure that this portion is off the fold of the card. So you may need to adjust if you're using a different size card base to start with. So I'll position this down, secure it down with some of that low tack tape I keep mentioning. This is also from Hunkydory, and this is what I use to keep all of my dies in place when I'm running my dies and paper through my die cutting machine. Now the important thing to keep note of is that you need to keep your card folded, and that will give you both layers die cut perfectly. So secure that down, run it through your die cutting machine, and it may need to go back and forth a couple of times just to make sure that that is die cut all the way through, because it's going through a couple of different layers of cardstock. And then you have this beautiful scalloped edge on the front and the inside of your card. A really nice way to get something a little bit different for your card bases. Now here I'm inking again the outside edges of these pattern papers and along this, this flush side here of my card front too. Now I do want to point out a couple of things about our beautiful brushed diamond paper. So this is the gold that I'm using to do my die cutting. And this paper is a nice sturdy weight. It's double-sided, making it great for lots of different applications. When I'm die cutting this, I did realize after running it through my die cutting machine a couple of times that it really does help to use some of the quick release die paper. And that just gives you a nice clean effect around the outside edges. And this paper comes in a roll like so, and you'll simply cut off as much as you need. Position this in between your die and whatever you're die cutting from, and then run it through your die cutting machine. And it does really help with intricate dies and also with the material such as the brushed diamond cardstock. This just really did help when I was creating all of those mats, and then it gives you a beautiful clean line around the outside edge. Then for the inside of my card, I have more of this gorgeous pattern paper plus another rectangle cut sentiment, this time turned the other way, and I've got it matted onto gold to coordinate. Our final project is a tuxedo box style of card, which lays flat to mail, but pops up like so to be dimensional. It looks great on display, and it's a lot of fun to make too. Now I'm using a die for this. It's the tuxedo box card cutting die. And you can see you've got 3 metal pieces included here. So you have your card back, card front, and then the crossbar. Of course, also included, you have a project idea here on the front of the package. A second look at that same project idea on the back of the package, along with your instructions, your written instructions here, as well as your folding diagram and the assembly on the back here too. So where you see with the red, this is indicating where we suggest you use that extra sticky tape. So it's on the 2 short sides of the card back, as well as the 2 short sides of the crossbar. So let's take a look at how to do this. First of all, you'll die cut 1 each of those 3 pieces, and then you're ready to fold and assemble. So I've got these already die cut for us, and I've got a head start on the assembly here. Now with the card back, what you'll do is fold up the center. You'll also fold in these 2 side flaps. I do recommend that you have your bone folder on hand. That's going to give you some nice crisp edges here on these folds. Then you're going to fold in the 2 short sides of your crossbar and glue this in place with that extra sticky tape on the 2 short ends, and you'll position this about 2 3/4 inches from the bottom of the card base. And then when you've got this all glued together, you can see where that crossbar is going to bow in the center. Then for the front of your card, all you need to do is fold this in the center and then fold open those 2 side flaps to create the tuxedo effect. Then what you'll do is simply glue the 2 together. Again, put some of that extra sticky tape on those 2 side pieces there. Position this on top, and you are ready to go. You've got your completed assembled card, and you can add your focal element right here on that crossbar in the center. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you die cut these 2 pieces, remember that both sides of your paper or cardstock will show. So the back portion here will show in this area as well as the back of the back. And then for the front, it'll be this bottom portion as well as your folded over sections there. So this is just something to keep in mind when you're deciding which portion of your patterned paper you want to show where. So the front here I've die cut from this plaid with the flowers positioned along the bottom edge. I chose to add triangles of the gold brushed diamond paper to the tuxedo flaps. And then I've glued this onto the back portion, which is the plaid showing here. On the back, I've got this really pretty faux texture and floral going along the edge and the bottom. On the front, I've also added the Chipboard Botanical colored with the tri-blend markers. Now the focal is a series of rectangle die cut pieces, just layering the straight edged pieces together with this matted sentiment on foam tape. And I wrapped it with a jute twine before adding it to the crossbar in the center. And this is our final project of the day today. So a big thank you to our friends at Hunkydory for these absolutely gorgeous verses. They are so much fun to work with, and I think add a really beautiful touch to our card making. And a special thank you to you for joining me today. We're really glad that you're here, and we're so happy you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.